sometime today. Man alive. What is going on? The lens is probably all covered in rain now. There, what on earth is this? What on earth is this? There, that. Oh my God, that took 4 minutes. All right, today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're here in the Sakyo ward of northeastern Kyoto, and we're not here to look at any sort of engineering blunder or weird train line. We're here to look at those. Yeah, traffic lights. It's going to be an exciting one.
If you're like me and you somehow find yourself on the nerdier sides of the internet every once in a while, you might have come across the rather interesting claim that in Japan, rather than having red, yellow and green as their respective traffic light colours, they instead have red, yellow and blue.
Now, I was kind of intrigued by this claim when I first saw it, because this is my 3rd time to Japan. And the other 2 times, no matter where I'd been, from the top of Hokkaido to the bottom of Kyushu, I'd never seen anything resembling a blue traffic light.
However, I then started to see these odd-looking photos pop up on quite reputable sites like Reader's Digest and Atlas Obscura. Like, that's a blue traffic light, innit? So I did a little digging, and the answer to the question, does Japan use blue traffic lights, is not really, or like kind of. Yes and no. I hope that cleared things up for you. Now, stood here at this intersection in Kyoto, you can quite clearly see that these lights are green. That's exciting, isn't it? But it's not quite as simple as that. Basically, if you've not heard this story before, it goes like this. Japanese, for centuries, did not have a distinct word for green. During the Sinification of Japan, or basically the period when Japan's warring feudal states borrowed a bunch of culture and language from China, they also inherited something called the wuxing, a foundational system in East Asian philosophy that basically suggests that there are 5 core elements and their respective characteristics can be applied to all sorts of things all over the world. Yes, I'm aware I'm supposed to be talking about traffic lights, just give me a second, bloody hell. The 5 elements of the wuxing are
木
or wood,
火
or fire,
土
or earth,
金
or metal, and
水
or water. Now, each of these elements was thought to correspond to, among other things, a cardinal direction, an internal organ in traditional medicine, a season, a flavour, a planet, and, most importantly for us, a colour. Fire is red, earth is yellow, metal is white, water is black for some reason, and wood is blue, or green, or both? Yes, traditionally, wood in the wuxing corresponded to the colour qing, which covered both blue and green, and blue-green and green-blue and bluish and greenish and sometimes even grey. The concept of wuxing in this form found its way to Japan in around the 5th or 6th century, along with the Taoist and Confucian frameworks within which it was created, and it was renamed Gogyo in Japanese. Wuxing, and thus Gogyo, is very much a singular term that covers all the bases within the concept. The seasonal element of it, the directional element of it, the culinary element of it, and the colour element of it were all included simply under the term wuxing, or Gogyo. But over the centuries in Japan, the concept blended more and more with traditional Japanese culture and religion, mostly Shinto, and the different concepts under the umbrella term Gogyo were given their own names, and thus I present to you Goshiki, the Japanese colour wheel.
At the top, you've got red. On the right, you've got white. At the bottom, you've got black. And in the middle, you've got yellow. But to the left, you've got ao, which is an interesting colour that spans both blue and greens.
Editor's note here. Ao in Japanese is the same as Qing in Chinese that I explained earlier in this video, so I'm not entirely sure why I'm treating it like some big revelation here. Moving on.
And this is where, for Western viewers, things are going to get a little complicated.
For eons, ao was used to describe anything from a deep blue sky to a light green leaf, and all sorts of blue-green things in between. But over the centuries, ao came to more generally just mean blue, as in the Heian period starting in the 9th century, Japanese developed the word midori, meaning green. No tomfoolery or bamboozlery here, just green. But the usage of ao as a catch-all for blue and greens has persisted to this day, despite Japanese now having its own distinct word for green. Like, do you want to go swimming in the deep blue sea? Sure, that's obviously blue, so it's aoi umi. However, what about stopping at the grocery store for a lovely bright green apple? That's aoringo. Yes, that's literally blue apple by modern standards.
So how do you think the Japanese describe their traffic light colour schemes? You guessed it, aka, ki, ao. And so we're going to pause here because I bet a lot of you are thinking, right, so Japan doesn't have blue traffic lights, they just have green traffic lights that they call blue due to some sort of outdated piece of history.
And those people will feel pretty vindicated when I wait for this light to turn green and you can see it's just green, as are a lot of traffic lights around Japan. But that's not the case everywhere. On this note, I know the meme is that Redditors are generally kind of know-it-all dullards, and I say that as an avid user of the site, but God almighty, there was some insufferable actually behaviour on this topic when I found threads about it. European expats living in Japan going, I've never seen a blue light here, and this article is total nonsense, and I lived in Japan for almost a decade. The traffic lights are green, not bluish green, just green.
Well then, what do you call that? That's a goddamn bluish green traffic light, isn't it? That's definitely falls in the owl category, especially when it's turned off. Look at it, it's like proper blue. Also darake.
So what's happened here? Just because an ancient linguistic quirk means they sometimes call greens blue, doesn't mean they actually have to make their traffic lights blue, or at least blue-green. Especially considering the traffic light was invented many centuries after the creation of the word midori for green. Well, in 1930, Japan got its first traffic light in the Hibiya district of Tokyo, imported from the USA, of course, and the official color scheme as denoted by the Japanese government was red, aka, yellow, kiro, and green, midori. But old habits die hard, and the people of Japan continued to refer to the go light as ao. After 17 years of fighting the public's urge to call this ao, in 1947, the government gave in and officially designated the go light as ao shingo, literally blue signal. But in 1968, CGP Grey's favourite thing came to town: international standards. The Vienna Convention on Road Signs and Signals designated that all signatories must adhere to red meaning stop, yellow
or amber
meaning stop if safe to do so, and green meaning go. This threw a bit of a spanner in the works of the Japanese Highway Code, which listed ao as go. But instead of giving up and conceding to the international standards, Japan chose to do sort of the complete opposite.
They refused to sign the treaty, and not only did they not change their word for go from ao to midori, but they started shifting the colour of their go lights to a more blue hue in order for it to more appropriately fit the term ao.
And so, that's why Japan has some bizarrely blue-looking traffic lights. But let me just stop you here, because this story isn't as unusual as you might think, or really unique to Japan. If you're American, go outside and look at a traffic light. What's the middle colour? You call it yellow, right? Well, is it really yellow? Yellow's like a banana, innit? The middle traffic light is more like a sort of amber colour, which is what a lot of Europeans, including Brits, call it, or even like a shade of orange. And if you're a European, what about a red light? Is it really red, or is it crimson or vermilion?
This is all really a sort of basic lesson in colour theory, and not only how humans perceive colour, but how cultures adopt them and then adapt them. And if you think that my example a second ago about red and vermilion or crimson doesn't really work because those are just shades of red, that's the exact same thing. To the Japanese, the green seen in a traffic light is just another shade of ao. It's exactly the same thing. You see?
We all do it, all cultures. It's not just Japan being unique. I think there's a slightly patronising tendency to jump to calling Japan or Japanese cultural norms weird before considering whether or not we as Western Europeans or Americans do them too. And this is seriously not helped by articles about this topic being headlined such things as, "This is the bizarre reason that traffic lights in Japan are blue," or the even more problematic, "Traffic lights, are the Japanese colourblind?"
If you saw an article titled, "Americans call stop signs yellow, are they fucking stupid?" or "The mental reason Brits call crimson stoplights red," you'd be pretty offended and probably also quite confused. Japanese lights, they're not blue, they're not green, they're ao. It doesn't have a word that fits into English neatly. That's the end of it. Not green, not blue, ao. God almighty.
Thank you for watching my rant. As I said earlier, a lot of Japanese traffic lights, now they're shifting to LED systems, are a lot more green than they used to be. They still don't use the word Midori, but they are a lot more green. This kind of blue traffic light is sort of going out of fashion, and it took me ages to find this one. And also, as a quick side note, while the Vienna Convention uses the word green to specify which colour should be used for go, each country actually has their own set of standards which dictate how exactly to define these colours, using coordinates that are designed to be overlaid on top of the CIE 1931 colour space, which is another international standard published by the International Commission on Illumination 94 years ago. So let's pick an example. The British Standards EN 12368 regulation on traffic control equipment signal heads, last updated in 2024. That specifies that the colour green for traffic lights can be taken from anywhere inside the polygon created when these four coordinates are plotted on the CIE colour space. You want to see what that polygon looks like when placed on the graph? Look at the bottom. Does that look green to you? No, it's blue. Case closed. Stop accusing the Japanese of being weird.
Right, that's the end of my video. It's absolutely pissing it down with rain, so I don't know why I've chosen to film my outro here. I also have a really bad cold, and I want to go back to my hotel now. I'm absolutely miserable. It was like 31 degrees yesterday. What the hell happened? Right, well, I think I've got a couple more videos from Japan, so stay tuned. And that's about it. It's so painful. God, Japanese people are so petite and in better shape than me. And also probably children.